You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello and welcome to the Diary of a Wannabe Writer. It's Tuesday the 28th of May and I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I'm not recording this live on my live stream. I just thought and I'm also recording it on my phone instead of on my laptop or my iPad. What I'm going to talk about today is I've finally made a little bit of progress towards some of the things that I've been tasking myself with. So if you were watching the live stream earlier, you will have noticed that the hardback copy of the English Hikikomori that I ordered for myself just to get a feel of what it looked like really from lulu.com arrived. And my original intention was to read through it chapter by chapter and create my synopsis to send off as part of my submission package. And I did read the first two chapters after I'd gone offline and found them very easy to summarise. And then I kind of thought, well, actually, I know the story, I wrote it, so I flicked through the remaining chapters just to remind myself of the highlighted points, and I have actually written my synopsis. So it's about 1,000 words long, it fills a sheet of A4, and it is the breakdown that I hopefully that I need to send as part of my submission. So as you will have heard if you've been listening to this for a while, I have chosen some agents to submit my book, The English Hikikomori, to. They want depending on the individual agent, they want different things, but it's something like the first 10,000 words or the first 3 chapters. Obviously I will tailor what I send them to what they want, but I have just read the first 3 chapters. I can't see any typos in them, which I'm very pleased by, although I have run it through Grammarly, so I would hope not, but it still feels like my voice. It's not like I've allowed Grammarly to change my style at all. I'm really just used it to tidy up punctuation. But anyway, so yes, that is done. I have that, so all I have left to do, I say all, is to write my my cover letter. And again, what I will do now, well, not now, but probably once I get back from China in a few days, I will go through the agents that I have chosen. In some cases, it's not an agent I've chosen, it's an agency, which means I now need to go through the detail of their website and choose a specific agent. I then need to look at what their specific submission guidelines are, get my cover letter written, tailored to them, although I'm guessing I'll be able to use the same basic template for all 3, and get them sent off. So I'm still going to leave myself the deadline of the middle of June for that, but it would be really nice if I was well organised enough to do that. Well, I'm in China until the 4th of June. I've then got 3 days off, 5th, 6th and 7th. 8th and 9th I've got a little trip to New York, and then from the 10th I've got 2 weeks off. So it'd be quite nice if I can actually maybe do the research whilst I'm en route in Beijing, and actually maybe even look at doing the cover letter, but we shall see. So that's the first thing to report. I've got some actual genuine progress to tell you about. And the other thing I did today, which I'm quite pleased about, is I started doing some actual writing. Now, it's not for Empress of the Trees, my other live project, but I have decided I'm going to try and write a short story each month in my 60/40 collection, which is the Doctor Who, the Bill crossover fiction, fan fiction, whatever you want to call it, short stories. And yesterday I'd already decided where I wanted the next story to be set, and it was to be in the direct aftermath of Rose Tyler's father's death, which, although it was transmitted in a Doctor Who episode in 2005, was actually set on the 7th of November 1987, which of course ties in roughly with Series 3 of the Bill. So what I did yesterday was I watched that particular episode of Doctor Who, making loads of notes about locations, characters and bits and pieces. But when I watched it, the one thing I kind of didn't realise, I'd forgotten, I hadn't watched the episode in such a long time, I'd forgotten that as a direct result of Rose's interference, the details of her father's death change. So in the original timeline, he dies alone by himself in a particular road, and then once Rose accidentally tries to change things, he gets a few hours of extra life and ends up dying outside a church a few hours later, with this mysterious girl who nobody knows who it was holding his hand until he died. And I thought, well, what if somebody witnesses the first death, but they can't, obviously the police investigate it and can't kind of substantiate it. You know, there's no body, there's no damaged car, and so they take this report from this lady who witnesses the accident, Pete Tyler's actual death, in its original location. But as I said, there's no evidence that it's actually happened. And then a few hours later, the same two police officers, and I've decided to use Reg Hollis and June Ackland because I have overused Sergeant Cryer in the other stories, get called out to an incident opposite a church, and all the details are identical to the ones that the witness of the original death gave. So it's almost like she's had a premonition. And the only thing that's a bit weird is that there is a broken vase at both deaths, but broken in a weird way because the two vases are identical and they have broken in identical ways. So it's smashed into like 3 or 4 pieces, but each piece on the two vases is absolutely identical, which seems to be very weird. That's pretty much it for the story. And at the end, Bob. Oh, and also the lady who witnesses the first death, the original death of Pete Tyler, sort of is. Reg Hollis doesn't seem to believe her, so she's getting quite sort of shitty with him. And her parting shot is, oh, by the way, why are you having new police boxes put out on the streets taking up room when you've got those fancy radios? And Reg just goes to look at where this lady said the police box was, and it wasn't there, and he thinks nothing more of it. But it's his notebook inspection day, so Cryer, the one appearance he has to make, is flicking through Reg's notebook as part of his audit, and sees this reference to the police box, and also sees that they've got 2 identical vases and the apparent premonition of a death. Puts 2 and 2 together and just makes a phone call to unit to basically say, I think the doctor's probably been here. I've written half of the story now, so I've written up to the point. So the lady has witnessed Pete Tyler's first death, although there is no body there. And I've written the scene where June Ackland puts the car registration through the police national computer and gets... the owner's actually Jacqueline Tyler, but married to a person called Peter Tyler who does match the description of the alleged deceased. And that's how far I've got. So I've basically got the second death outside the church and Reg Hollis's realisation that something a bit odd is going on. So it's been a really productive day. I'm actually recording this at about 4 p.m. I may even go back and do another writing session later today. So if you download this on the day that it's released, you may even find in an hour or so I go back and do a little bit more writing. But as I say, given everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks, I'm quite surprised I've managed to get back into the habit of doing the writing. I do largely think it's because I've disciplined myself to make myself record this podcast. As I said before, I know there are a handful of people who listen to it. That's fantastic. I originally started it purely as a way of making me have to think about talking about writing for 6 minutes every day. Okay, this is nearly 9 minutes now. Apologies. But yeah, that's why I started this, and it's why I'll continue it, because this is unique for me. Normally, the death of someone very close to me knocks me out of any kind of creativity for months, if not a year or 2. So the only thing that's different is I'm forcing myself via this to think about writing, and it does seem to be working. I enjoyed writing the synopsis of the English Hikikomori today, and I've enjoyed writing the new short story. Okay, I really will shut up now. Thank you for listening. I'll be back at a similar time tomorrow. Goodbye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.